Happy Friday to you. Welcome to the Owatonna Today Show. I am Shelley Whitehead, your host. I want to thank you so much for joining us right here on Charter Channel 8, where you can see us 6 days a week. And there are some amazing businesses and organizations that have stepped up and said, hey, we like what you're doing and we want to support that. And we'd like to thank them now. We'd like to start off by thanking our premier supporters. They are the City of Owatonna, Express Employment Professionals, Owatonna Public Utilities, Safe and Drug-Free Coalition of Steele County, and United Way of Steele County. Also, thank you to our primary supporters. They include Amy Swain Hearing Centers and Little Theater of Owatonna. We wouldn't be here today if it weren't for our interlude supporters. They are Abraham Consulting Technologies, Bremer Bank, Brenda Bednar Mortgage Office, Glenn Meager and Tim Thomas of Brick Meager Funeral Home and Medford Funeral Homes, Brookdale Senior Living, Clarebridge and Sterling House, ERA Gillespie Real Estate, Carlson Branstad and Company CPAs, Fairview Animal Medical Center, Clancher and Son Landscaping and Concrete, Horizon Eye Care Professionals, Napa Auto Service, Owatonna Business Incubator, Owatonna Foundation, Profinium Financial, R&K Electric, Snap Fitness, Steele County Historical Society, Steele County Transitional Housing, the Third Hand Incorporated Video Productions, and TPS Insurance. Each one of these amazing people has made this show possible. So we'd like you to thank them. Go in and say, hey, we saw you on the Owatonna Today Show, and then give them your business. It's a great way to make a dent in your community, a positive dent in your community, so make sure you do that. Stick with us today. We're going to be having a great show. I wish we had an hour for today's show. It's going to be so fascinating. We're going to be talking about Safe and Drug-Free with their coalition, and it's National Recovery Month, so we'll be talking about that, and a Steele County Transitional Housing. So stick with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Jody Voisin with the staff at Fairview Animal Medical Center, your other family doctor. Fairview Animal Medical Center is a proud supporter of the Owatonna Today Show.
When using a fire extinguisher, we suggest using the pass system. Pull the pin at the top of the extinguisher that keeps the handle from being accidentally pressed. Aim the nozzle toward the base of the fire. Squeeze the handle to discharge the extinguisher. If you release the handle, the discharge will stop. Sweep the nozzle back and forth at the base of the fire. After the fire appears to be out, watch it carefully since it may reignite. If you have the slightest doubt about whether or not to fight the fire, get out and close the door behind you. This has been a safety message from the Owatonna Fire Department.
Hi, my name is Dave Olson and I'm with R&K Electric, where we provide power to the people. We're proud supporters of the Owatonna Today Show.
Hi, I'm Stan Groff, Director of Steele County Public Health and a member of the United Way Community Leadership Team. United Way focuses on the building blocks of life: education, income, and health. Our programs and initiatives prepare children from birth for academic success, well-paying jobs, and a healthy lifestyle. That's why I joined Mayo Clinic Health System and the Owatonna School District to lead this year's campaign. We invite you to invest in our community by giving to the United Way.
Way too much fun today. There we go. Hi. Leanne, you didn't tell me how many seconds I had.
Sorry.
It's okay. We are here. I know, we're on the air. Hi. How are you gentlemen today?
Good.
Good. It's a pleasure to have you. We've been talking off air quite a bit, and it's been a fascinating conversation. But first, what I want to do is have you introduce yourself. So we'll start with you.
I'm Darren Reed with the Safe and Drug-Free Coalition here in town.
Okay.
I'm Ryan Ayers, and I'm also with the Safe and Drug-Free Coalition.
Good. Gentlemen, thank you for your time today. We want to talk about September because it's Recovery Month. And what does that mean?
Well, so every September is National Recovery Month. This year actually is the 25th anniversary of that, so it's something that's been happening for quite some time. And what National Recovery Month is a month to recognize and go out there and say, hey, recovery works. For many people, recovery emerges from hope. Hope of a better life. For the still suffering alcoholic or addict, they're sick and tired of being sick and tired. They want to change. Maybe they don't know how. Maybe they're not confident they can. But with help from friends, family, community, they move into recovery. Another thing Recovery Month is for is a way to share what recovery really is. Unfortunately, in media, the news, social media, we hear the negative side of recovery. The things that the media likes to glamorize sometimes. Unfortunately, on the TV networks, you hear about the big names, the actors, and the people that struggle with it. But recovery works. And there are many paths to recovery. There are local support groups that people go to. There's treatment, there's inpatient, there's outpatient. For some, there's harm reduction is a part of recovery. There's medication management. There are many different paths, and each person, each individual has a right to choose what their recovery is going to be.
And part of that, though, is deciding whether or not you need recovery.
Absolutely.
And well, let's define that, because we use this word. I think we kind of throw it around a lot. What recovery? What does that mean? It's in and of itself. Recovery from what?
Well, that everyone has a different opinion, to be honest. Some people that I meet say they have to be in recovery from a certain substance. For others, it's striving to meet their full potential, living substance-free and making the best use of their time. And how they get up there is really up to them.
Well, and I wanted to talk to Ryan a little bit, because why do you work with the Safe and Drug-Free Coalition? Why is that important to you to be a part of that?
I think the reason I got involved was just seeing how they're getting the message out there in all different facets. I mean, there's recovery, there's prevention, there's letting the youth know before it gets to a certain point the actual harms of everything that can happen. Like Darren said, you see the negative. You see whether it be some big celebrity on TV, they went through treatment and this and that, and then what the media will show is they kind of came out on the other side unscathed. They're still leading their successful life and everything else. And a lot of people think, well, that's just that's life. That's is maybe doing those things and experimenting, but the downside of that is there is addiction to those substances, and some people have a genetic predisposition to addiction. Where it's actually part of their body. They metabolize those substances differently than other normal people.
Well, and what's interesting is that I know that I've heard on social media and that kind of thing that some of these programs don't work, but they still wouldn't be in existence if they didn't work. They would be phased out. People wouldn't be using them anymore. And so, we talk about the 12-step programs and those different kind of things. So they definitely do work. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in existence.
And then with the 12-step programs, or even inpatient or outpatient treatment, a lot of that is up to the individual person. Being able to recognize, is there something here? For some people, they have to fall down a few times before they get up and are ready to make that fight. But what it really comes down to is where I believe different programs fail is a personal commitment. Not to be misconstrued with a lot of times in the recovery community you hear, well, they didn't want it bad enough. Well, that's to me that's I hate that term because in some form or another people want it. They're sick and tired of being sick and tired. But it's that commitment. It's going into, say, a meeting, and if you don't like what you hear or what you see, being committed to there's another way. It's not being wishy-washy about it. It's you have to commit to it and commit to I want that different way of life.
And you're talking about how sometimes that means maybe you didn't fall down enough yet, maybe to get to that point where you're ready to commit. It's easy sometimes, these people are weird, I don't want to come back. Well, maybe you haven't reached that point where you need to know, I'm ready to commit to that. But we wanted to talk also a little bit about, and maybe you can help me with this, Darren, is as family members, if we see somebody who we think might be struggling with addiction, what are some ways that we can help them? What are some things that we can do?
My first suggestion would be to talk to them. Find out what is really happening. And if you believe there are some issues, if they're using substances, if they're using drugs or they're drinking, there are plenty of things you can do in the community. However, sometimes for the average citizen, they might not know where the county services are for that, or the right treatment center, or they may not even know that a treatment center exists here in our community. The one thing I recommend a lot is find an Al-Anon group. They're easy to find, especially nowadays with the internet. You just type in Owatonna Al-Anon and you're going to find some meetings.
What is Al-Anon?
Al-Anon is a 12-step program similar to what we hear of in Alcoholics Anonymous, except for this is for the family member that loves someone who has addiction, even if they're not sure. So you could go to this meeting and people in the meeting will help you with what they did, how they live with it, what steps they could take, and the resources that are in the community. Perhaps they'll find their next step, how to get their loved one to treatment. Or in some cases, unfortunately, and as Ryan mentioned, some people aren't ready yet. And if that's the case, that support group can help that person stay sane while that's in there, because truthfully, we can't control it. There are 3 C's in Al-Anon. You didn't cause it, you can't control it, and you can't cure it. And that can be really crucial for a person to learn, because that can help with that acceptance piece.
And how much better is it to go to a group like that than maybe, say, filling out a form on the internet? Because I'm sure there's a form out there saying, is your family member an alcoholic? How much better is it to be in that group setting?
It's that one-on-one, being able to relate with another person, whether it's one alcoholic relating to another alcoholic, or one spouse or parent of an alcoholic relating to another, and sharing that experience. Filling out a form can't give you somebody else's experience, and years of other people's experience. That's probably the most helpful thing of knowing, this, we found that this doesn't work, but we have found, this works. And sometimes if it's not the right time, nothing's going to work. And being able to share that experience of, you might not be able to do anything.
No matter how much you love them.
Exactly.
Yeah. So as we talk about Recovery Month, we want people to understand that this is a great time to start getting information, to either for yourself if you think there might be a problem, and then, or even just to be able to be bold enough to talk to that friend or that family member and say, hey, I think we just need to talk about this and see that kind of thing. I did want to ask you a little bit about your own personal, we only have about a minute left if you don't mind. I'd like you to tell me a little bit about your own personal recovery and kind of some of the process it took you to get there.
Well, my own personal recovery would be, I had a lot of things happen in my life that were the result of addiction. And, for a long time, I didn't see those things. I looked at it as, I had bad luck. I always had bad luck. I always got the short end of the stick. And it took some major things, happening to me in my life to start that process. I went to treatment with the thought that I didn't have anything wrong with me, and during treatment I heard some things that piqued my interest of maybe there's something to this. So that was mine, and through that I found a group to go to and get involved in, and as part of that, being involved in different things. It's not just working a program. It's helping other people. It's being out there for other people.
That's what it sounds like, especially with the mentoring program. We talked a little bit about that. Well, I want to thank you, gentlemen, for your time today.
Thank you.
And I know you can contact the, if you wanted to contact Safe and Drug Free, they will have information there for you to talk to one of these groups, find an Al-Anon or an AA group.
Absolutely.
But thanks, guys, so much for your time.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. Please stay with us.
Hi, my name is Dave Efforts with TPS Insurance. We're here to handle all your insurance needs. We are a very proud supporter of the Owatonna Today Show.
I didn't just want another job, I wanted a career, so I expressed myself.
I was new to town and I didn't know where to turn for a job, so I decided to express myself.
I decided to express myself, and they helped find the right career for me.
Express Employment Professionals is in contact with thousands of companies in need of quality employees. Come in now and get the job you deserve.
Express yourself today.
Do you know how to safely dispose of your prescription and non-prescription drugs? Not by flushing them down the toilet or putting them in the garbage. Doing so pollutes our rivers, streams, and drinking water supply. Take it to the box instead for safe, secure disposal. It's easy. Bring your unused medications in their original containers to the drop-off locations listed on the screen and drop them in the Take It to the Box drop box. Proper disposal of unwanted medications keeps them out of the hands of children and out of our environment. This is a message from the Safe and Drug-Free Coalition of Steele County.
Hi, I'm Doug Johnson with the Owatonna Business Incubator. We're here to help small businesses start and to grow. We're a proud sponsor of the Owatonna Today Show.
Welcome to Bremer Bank. I am Jason Iberg.
And I am Shannon Pedersen.
Bremer is a full financial services bank.
We invite you to stop by Bremer Bank and experience the Bremer difference.
You are always welcome at Bremer.
Hello, I'm David Einhaus with the Owatonna Foundation. Thank you to all of our donors who have helped make Owatonna a better place to live. Will you join us today with a financial gift? Owatonna Foundation is a proud sponsor of the Owatonna Today Show.
And we're back to the Owatonna Today Show. I have in studio with me Julie Anderson. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Would you quickly introduce yourself for us?
You bet, you bet. I'm Julie Anderson, and I'm the director of Steele County Transitional Housing, which is a nonprofit that works with people who are homeless.
Well, we want to talk today because it's school time. You know, so along with watching for buses, we want to make sure that people kind of start being aware of another thing that kind of has been flown under the radar, and that's homelessness of children. You know, we talked a little bit about homelessness, and I think sometimes we like to think in Owatonna we don't have that.
Absolutely,
But there are families, children who are homeless.
Yes, and as you say, they're very much under the radar. We're experiencing a number of families that are homeless, people who are living in their cars very often, or they're couch hopping. They're going from home to home. Some of them are homeless because of a situation. For example, they're fleeing domestic violence. Some are homeless because something has changed in the economy. They may have lost a job, or a family member may have left the family. That is a very common occurrence. Or they may be facing generational poverty. They just have a pattern of homelessness because of their past, and their family was homeless when they were children. More often than not, what we're seeing is situational homelessness, though. Some type of situation has driven their homelessness, an unexpected turn of events has occurred, and they suddenly find themselves homeless.
Well, I know that we, at the beginning of summer, we kind of talked a little bit about, with other organizations, about the need to make sure that kids are fed, you know, because the school does a great job of those who meet the needs to be able to feed them. So we know that these children are at least getting 2 meals a day.
Right.
But then again, if they're not getting the sleep they need, or if they're not having that consistency or feel safe where they are, they're not going to do well in school.
Right. That feeling that kids talk about where they kind of have that anxious feeling in their stomach, that lack of focus because they're in crisis. So many children have that across the United States. And in this county, we experienced that in all of our communities. You know, last year at one point we had nearly 100 children that were reported to have been homeless through the Owatonna School District. Those were just the ones that we know about. And what happens is kids, their development is thwarted because they are not able to develop in school. Their emotional development is thwarted. They have difficulty in social situations, and their basic needs aren't being met. So they have a constant feeling of being in crisis. We had a family that was living in the Kohl's parking lot in their car. They had 2 cats, mom was pregnant, 2 kids. Dad and mom were both working. They were both working, but they had been evicted, and they were in the process of getting a new place, but didn't have enough money for rent and deposit. So they were temporarily homeless, and they were telling their children, hide your homelessness. When you go to school, don't let anybody know that you're homeless, because we might get split up as a family. They were afraid of that happening, that they might be having a visit from social services or something, and that their family would be torn apart. So the children were washing up in the Walmart sinks, trying to hide their homelessness for months at a time. And what was happening is the children were, of course, in crisis and suffering a great deal. So that's what we see, and that's what our program can stop.
So
that's
if that family had come to you, what would you have been able to do for them?
Typically what we would be able to do is get the family into an apartment. We would pay for the first month's rent and damage deposit. And then if the family qualified, we would continue to subsidize the rent for a period of up to 2 years, according to income. That family then would also be responsible for paying a portion of their rent according to income each month to the landlord. And the lease is signed between the tenant and the landlord. We simply subsidize the rent.
So they're still responsible for if there's damage, that kind of thing.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And they really are the primary agent of control in their lives. But we are there to help the process along on their journey. And they will also receive case management. So we have a case manager that will go in once a week or every other week, work with the family on budgeting, making sure that the family is working, that the adults in the home are working or going to school, so that they can get to the point of self-sufficiency. And most of the time, it doesn't take 2 years. It takes a much shorter time period for people to stabilize. And homelessness really can be a temporary condition. It can be temporary.
Do you feel like they didn't reach out because they didn't know about the program?
They did reach out.
Yeah,
and we were able to help them. They finally did.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And initially, they may not have reached out because they wanted to be self-sufficient and fight on their own. And I think what ended up happening is they did eventually find out about us. So that's one thing that our agency is working on, is really that outreach piece, so that people will know that we are there for them. We do have a waiting list for our programs. However, we can help you navigate until you're served by our
that's what I
program.
wanted to talk a little bit about, is that, you know, many people who are watching the show do have a home because they can see it on their televisions.
Right.
But if they find someone, and I want to talk maybe some about the ways to identify some of the kids who maybe have flown under the radar.
Certainly.
But then they can at least talk to the family and say, hey, listen, if you're having problems, I know a program that might be able to help you.
Absolutely.
So what are some of the things that you see that can help somebody identify maybe a child that is homeless?
A lot of times one of the first cues is hygiene, and that's not always the case, but sometimes you can tell if a child looks like they are in need of hygiene, supplies, for example, or showers. Sometimes you can tell. You cannot always tell. Sometimes those indicators aren't
Sometimes
accurate.
they're just a 12-year-old boy.
Yeah, right. And you have lots of kids that are very stable that you know might have reasons for that, but that's a sign often that can be. It can be excessive emotional outbursts, for example, can be a sign. Poor nutrition, if a child seems to be malnourished, if a child seems sleep deprived, if the child seems to be acting out in violent ways, not always an indicator, but it can be.
And it sounds like you know, kids might do this once in a while, but when you see this consistently, a pattern. And maybe more than one of these things, instead of just maybe they see malnutrition, but they're just very thin child, or whatever.
If you see more than one indicator at a time, you can often, that can be a sign. The other thing is it might be an indication of other crises. Now, a lot of the people who face homelessness in our community are fleeing domestic violence, or they might have an undetected mental illness. There might be a number of other indicators there. So it's just being mindful and caring. It is your business. It is your business, and the professionals can address that. But I definitely, really, truly encourage people to talk to the school social worker if there are concerns. Here in Owatonna, for example, Medford also has one, Blooming Prairie, Ellendale, the school social workers, but also to contact Transitional Housing. We can help people even though there is a waiting list. For some of our programs, if you are in certain situations, we might be able to adjust your place on the waiting list, but typically what we would want to do is have you give us a call at 446-9315.
Good. And I wanted to also talk about probably one of the reasons why you have such limitations is financial reasons.
Yes.
Is because of that. And so I want to talk about the Eliminate Homeless Breakfast that's coming up in November. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, this is such an exciting opportunity because this year we're adding a day. So in the past, we've had a breakfast, and it's always been at 7 o'clock. This year on November the 18th, we are going to have a breakfast at 7 o'clock at the Owatonna Holiday Inn. And then we're adding a lunch on the 19th, so the following day at noon at the Owatonna Holiday Inn. So if you're an early riser, you can come to the 7 o'clock. If you would rather just wait, you can come to the noon. I think a lot of people, including myself, fall into that category. And it's really a wonderful event. It's a free event for the public. We just ask that people call ahead of time. And we will present 2 testimonials of people who have benefited from transitional housing and have transformed their lives. People who were at one time homeless and are now thriving. And then we'll present a video as well. And after our presentation, we always ask people to consider making a contribution to transitional housing. There's not an obligation to give, but people often do because they see that people have transformed their lives, absolutely, through this program. And the funding is essential for us to continue. Also, we really are appreciative of the United Way of Steele County. We could not do the work that we do without the support of the United Way and all of the contributors in this community. So I really want to express, I cannot emphasize enough how important that partnership with the United Way of Steele County is.
Yes, and if you want more information, of course, you can always go to their website. And if you know anybody, if you have questions on how to talk to someone, I'm sure someone at your office would be glad to talk them through that. And it's about kind of, especially with the children, and making their lives a little more stable and giving them a nice place to fall when they need it.
Absolutely.
School can be stressful.
Absolutely. It's stressful enough, and we need those basic needs met. Our young people need to have a place to sleep and a place to call home.
Good. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
All right. We'll be right back. Please stay with us.
Hi, Warren Abraham, Abraham Consulting Technologies, your one-stop technology shop. We support the Owatonna Today Show.
Owatonna Public Utilities, real people, real reliable, real progress. Making life a little easier day after day, taking pride in our community, listening to what you say, a voice you can talk to. We're growing with you. Owatonna Public Utilities.
And we're back with a look at some of your community service announcements. The Join Riverbend Nature Center staff for a fun-filled day of outdoor skill sessions, including slacklining, which I don't know what that is, so I should probably go to this, archery, outdoor cooking, setting up camp, knot tying, geocaching, and much more. It's the Outdoor Skills Day on September 14th from 1 to 5, and it's going to be open to all ages, especially families. Registration is required by September 11th. There is a fee of $25 or $20 for members, and pre-registration is required for September 11th, so please check them out at their website at rbnc.org. And you're invited to participate in the upcoming Living Well with Chronic Conditions workshop beginning in September. The workshops are free and take place at the Owatonna Hospital every Friday beginning September 12th. Find better ways of dealing with pain and fatigue. Discover easy exercises to help improve and maintain strength and energy. Learn the appropriate use of medications. Improve nutrition. Talk effectively with family and friends and health professionals. Understand new treatment choices and feel better about life. That's a lot, and you want to make sure you get there for that. The sessions are funded by a grant from the Southeast Minnesota Area Agency on Aging and are offered at no charge to the participants. So for more information, you can contact Linda Hoffman. The number is 507-977-2171. Owatonna Foundation non-traditional scholarships and technical major at a technical community college are available right now. To be eligible, you need to have an Owatonna mailing address or work at an Owatonna business and graduated prior to or with the class of 2014 or possess a GED. There are awards from $500 to $3,000, but you do need to get that application in by October 25th. If you would like an application, call Jill Holmes at 455-3059. And the Rice Steele 911 Center has officially completed all requirements, has been awarded a full partnership with the Missing Kids Readiness Project from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, making Owatonna a much better state. So congratulations to them. Stick with us next week as we talk to the United Way campaign, as well as the Minnesota State Public School Orphanage and community education. Lots of stuff coming up next week. We'll see you then.